What's up gents, it's Fire here, and today we'll be having a look at Jinx. Now she's a lot more complex than people give her credit for, which is why I delayed on making this video until I could really test her. She can deal huge amounts of damage throughout the game with great poke and kill potential in lane, and attack speed, steroid and AoE damage in team fights, and even though she doesn't have an escape, she does have a huge range and root to keep her safe. So for masteries I use her on 2190 as most of your damage in lane will come from your auto attacks, and when you fully engage you only have 525 range, so you'll be right in the mix of it. You can also run 2154 if you find managing your mana difficult, and it also works well if you plan on maxing your W. For runes I run very standard AD reds, armor yellows, magic resist or magic resist per level blues, and for quints I use 2 lifesteal and 1 AD. Now this is where it gets really interesting for Jinx because you can build and play her in 2 completely different ways. If you prefer to rely on your ability to do damage, then you max your W first, Q second and rush a Bloodthirster. If however you prefer to rely on auto attacks for damage, then you max your Q first, followed by a W and rush an Infinity Edge. So for both builds you'll start with the Doran's Blade. Now this is because it gives you the health, AD and lifesteal to trade in lane, and to be honest, if you don't start Doran's Blade and your opponent does, then you're already at disadvantage in lane. Next you want to work towards your first big item, either Bloodthirster or Infinity Edge. Now if you're going for a Bloodthirster, then pick up a BF Sword or Vamp Scepter if you can't afford it. If you're going for the Infinity Edge though, you do have a lot more options. You only want to buy a Vamp Scepter if you're struggling in lane, as it's going to delay your build, so either pick up a Pickaxe or a BF Sword if you can afford it. Now because Jinx has a really low range, it's also not a bad idea to pick up a second Doran's Blade if you feel the need for it, or if you're against someone who is also really strong in lane. So an example build for your ability damage or burst would be a Bloodthirster into Last Whisper, Phantom Dancer and an Infinity Edge. If you're going for those AoE crits, then you want to go Infinity Edge, PD, Last Whisper and finally Bloodthirster. For defensive items, you want to always cover up the AD's weaknesses, which in this case is her short range. So GA is going to be your most common choice because you're always going to be in the mix of the fight, followed by Banshees if you're against heavy AP teams or CC, and then QSS if you're against really heavy CC teams. So in lane, remember that while Jinx has pretty good base damage on her abilities, her real strength is the AD ratios. This means that you hit your major power spike with items and not so much levels. Her basic trading tool though is going to be auto attacking in a rocket launcher form when the enemy AD comes to CS. The extra range and damage means it's incredibly hard to trade any damage back, and so if you keep repeating this, you're pretty much just going to get a free lane. If you max your Q, then you want to just poke the enemy down and go in for a kill when they are around half health. If you max your W, you need to try and poke with it whenever possible, but remember that you can burst them from a higher health, so you do have more kill potential. Also try not to use your Q to CS unless you really need to, as the mana cost will start to add up, especially if you use 2190, and when Jinx runs out of mana she becomes really weak. In teamfights, it's always a good idea to start with your rocket launcher for the range and AoE, and it also means you're more likely to avoid damage or big ticket ultimates on the enemy team. So after this you have a choice, and it kinda depends on your item build. If the enemy team is still grouped up, then use the AoE from your rocket launcher. If you built Infinity Edge, remember that your rockets can crit everyone in the AoE, meaning it can destroy entire teams. As soon as they do split up, swap to your minigun as that provides by far the most damage possible. Finally, remember that your ultimate does more damage based on how much health your enemies are missing, so try to use it halfway through the fight and definitely not at the start. So thanks for watching guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do feel free to leave a thumbs up and also subscribe. So just to let you know, I've actually managed to get my hands on a couple of pack Sivir codes, which I'm going to give away to you guys as a thank you for watching my videos with my Sivir rework video, which will be sometime in the next week. So as always, go like my Facebook, follow me on Twitter, and I'll catch you in my next video.